everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to get started here very shortly. We just want to make sure that everybody can get into the room today. I have put some information in the chat. You can find that access to the chat down at the bottom of your screen. Like I said, we will get started shortly. We are recording this session so that you can go back and view it at a time that's convenient for you, or if you want to share it with others. We also have the ability to present this in various different languages. So if you would like to hear this or read the closed captioning in another language, the instructions to do that are in that link. You can find that link in the chat. Okay, we're going to give it about one more minute to allow more people to join us today. Well, thank you again for joining us. My name is Dr. LaShonda Lewis, and I have with me today a couple of our amazing counselors from across the district, and we're going to be talking about balancing schoolwork and personal time. Like I said, we are recording this session. This will be available on our counseling services website by the end of the day tomorrow. We also have available the option for individuals who would like to hear this in another language. I have put in the chat a link to a service called Streamer, where you can get closed captioning as well as hear audio in up to 10 different languages. So before we get started, I would like to have our panelists introduce themselves. Mr. Joe, would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Thank you, LaShonda. My name is Joe Valenzuela. I'm a middle school counselor at CD Folks Middle School right there in Round Rock, and I have been there 5 years. I previously was there as administrator, and I love Round Rock ISD and all the kids at CD Folks.
And we also have Ms. Hobbs joining us today.
Yes, hi, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, Dr. Lewis, for hosting this event. And thank you again, Mr. Venezuela, for volunteering your time to be a part of this today with me. Yes, just like Dr. Lewis said, my name is Mary Hobbs. I am a counselor at Cedar Valley Middle School. Go Jags. And I'm really happy to be part of Round Rock Independent District. I've been in education now this is my 14th year, and I've been a school counselor for 8 of those years. 7 of them, I have worked right here in the heart of Round Rock, Texas. This is my first year at Cedar Valley Middle School, and I'm super excited to be here. As you can see, purple is my favorite color. I wear it very well. So just wanted to welcome you guys as well, and I hope that you're able to take away some of the information that we have for you tonight.
Well, thank you, both Mary and Joe. Thank y'all for being here today and giving such valuable information to our family. We know that during this time of COVID that a lot has happened, and so we wanted to just provide an opportunity to kind of learn how to really balance what's going on in our lives. Doing school virtually, whether you're doing it at home or whether you're on campus, it looks so different than what we're used to. And finding the balance between schoolwork and the personal time for our students is extremely important. So today we're just going to go over a few things with you today, just so that you can help your student. If we have students watching today, for you to help yourself, and also for parents, I think this is also valuable information that you can use for yourself, helping to find that balance between work and personal life as well. So we just thank you again for joining us today. We're going to take about 30 minutes to go over the presentation itself, and then we're going to open it up to questions. So here on this screen, you'll see just a few of the bullet points that we're going to be mentioning today, and hopefully that this information is very powerful for you and that you can take away and use immediately starting, once you finish this session. like I said, we know that, going to school in mask, walking around in our everyday lives in mask is stressful. Then throwing on top of that your normal life, going to school, getting your schoolwork done, but also making sure that you have time to do the things that you really enjoy can be extremely difficult right now. And so we hope that this information today is something that you can find valuable and that you can utilize in your own personal life, but also sharing with those people that you care. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mary, and she is going to go over some of the challenges and impact of trying to do both, balancing our personal life, but also getting all of our schoolwork or our work done as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Lewis. All right, so I mean, let's think about this. As adults, we wear many hats. We know that we have a lot that we have to juggle in just our daily living. When you're dealing with children, there's no difference. Our students have to navigate how to be a student on campus or in person or online. The students are, trying to figure out how to follow the rules and expectations of maybe one teacher or multiple teachers, depending if they're elementary or secondary. And we know that that can be hard. And then also, the students are trying to figure out their identity. They're trying to figure out where their placement is as a student and as a peer and a friend. And we know that that can be really hard and challenging too, just really trying to figure out, where do I fit in and what is it that I want to do when it comes to the peers and the friends that I am currently around during that time. And then of course at home, right? So whether, there are rules and expectations from the family members or from the siblings. So we know that the students are dealing with a lot. And just like Dr. Lewis said, we want to make sure that there are some balances in between that. So our goal as counselors and to help you guys out in the community is to really help our students and giving them some tools to help navigate what it looks like to be a well-balanced child or a well-balanced student, okay? We also do take in consideration that when school and personal life are not balanced, when they're imbalanced, sometimes the students will tend to favor the personal life, the things that they like to do. And a lot of times that can create some friction inside of different relationships, whether that's at home or with their teacher or possibly with their peers. And also the students may have less time focusing on academics because they just don't know where to start and begin with that. Next slide. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share with you just some ways that you can help manage your time. And I'm not sure who's actually on here today, whether it is a parent or a guardian or students, but my presentation is speaking directly to our students. And what I really wanted to actually do that I didn't actually put on here that I think is very also important is that you really need to figure out what is the way that you want to get things going on in your life for you, okay? And so these are some really good tools and some tips that I have personally used. I have shared also with my students that I have worked with in the counseling field. And I'm sure that these are also tips that your parents can also take away and say that they can use too in their everyday life. So the first one I want to talk about is planning out your schedule. So when you think about your day, right, a lot of times you mentally can figure out what are some things that you are wanting to do for that day. But it also is so much easier for you to visually see those. And so if you just get like a desk calendar, something that's big for you to have in the area of where you are working at, you just make sure that you jot down just the things as you're remotely speaking with your teachers, you can just jot it down on your calendar or use some type of planner. I think that those will be very beneficial of when you are writing it down and you're visually seeing things that you need to get done throughout the day, and so that way you can be successful. Also, another thing is to make a weekly list. Now, excuse me, but I'm gonna do this just because I have to. I'm gonna sing a little tune and I'm hopefully that this will catch on with you guys. So you're making a list, checking it twice. Okay, I know some of you are saying it's too early for that, so I definitely understand. But with that being said, I think that it is very important that you guys know that making a list and just having that satisfaction of scratching it off once you've completed that task means so much to you, okay? It also lets you know of things that you have already accomplished, which gives you just that ability to have the ability for you to say that, you know what, I've done this and I can be successful and know that I can check these off of my list. So I think that just having some type of to-do list written down or something that your teacher has where you're just mark it off will help you feel just that success that you need to feel. The next thing that I want to talk about is prioritizing your work. Students, if you do not have a Home Access Center account, you really need to get one tomorrow, okay? I know that a lot of times when I'm talking to parents, I'll have the parent will always tell me, well, my child checks their home access account through my account. Okay, that's great. But you really need to start being accountable, especially if you are in middle school and high school, and get your own home access account. And the office at your campus can definitely help get you set up with that, okay? But I think what's really important on this piece when we talk about prioritizing our schoolwork is making sure that if there are classes that you are not successful with that are below passing, which is below a 70, you really need to figure out what are some ways that you can help bring up that grade. Okay, and so I think what's also beneficial on this is when you have your own home access account, you're able to check it more than once a week. Okay, ideally, what you really need to do is start checking your home access account either a couple of times a week or, you know, just after the end of the day, so that way you can verify and just have the accountability of the work that you've got to get done and completed on there. Taking just your assignments and breaking them down into smaller components is also just very beneficial. I know that a lot of times, you know, when you think about just the little baby steps that you can do, you can also feel just successful on the ways that, so that way you can see how far that you've come and what all the tasks that you have accomplished. So, you know, one of the things that I like to do when I have a big project is I like to definitely get my, my color-coded markers out, or I like to get my sticky notes out. And I like to just kind of block off, like, this is what I'm gonna work on during this time. And then once I'm done with that chunk, with that smaller chunk of piece, then I'm gonna color code another section over there. So that way it helps me feel like I'm accomplishing a task, even though that they're baby steps. I'm still moving a lot further along, whether if I'm just sitting there trying to think about what I need to get done. It's also important for you to set goals and then make sure that you have deadlines for that project. When I think about goal setting, you know, I really think about what our SMART goals are. And, you know, your counselor at your campus can help you create what those goals can look like and help you create realistic goals. A lot of times, sometimes students will set a goal that they're not really prepared for to accomplish because, again, you don't have the tools to help you navigate through there. So definitely reach out to your campus counselor to help you get ready and set up those goals that you need. Here's a big one: avoiding perfectionism and comparison. The biggest piece that I really want you guys to understand is the only person that you need to compare yourself with is yourself. Okay. When you think about your progress reports or your report cards, you're trying to better what you did on the last time you had a progress report or the last time you had a report card. I know that a lot of times, our families do have high expectations for you as a student, and that is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But really what I'm talking about is just you putting more pressure on yourself than what really doesn't need to be there. Let's think about this for just a second too on the comparisons. You're not looking at your grades on a paper, okay? I've heard a lot of families share with me already that they're just, even though, if they're in person or if they're remotely done online, a lot of families have said that, my child feels so much more relieved that they don't have to get a paper handed back to them in class and the teacher, says, make sure you don't show your grades. These are confidential. But then yet, you've got that friend that kind of nudges like, hey, what did you get on it? Right. So a lot of times you don't want to share that. And this is a perfect time for you not to be able to get that done. Right. So really focus on being stress-free by really wanting to make sure that you're striving to do better for yourself and what you've done better for your previous grading or marking period. And then also just keep in mind that you want to be careful on just the comparisons of with your peers, right? And this is a perfect opportunity where you can avoid that because you're online. Nobody's really looking at what you got. And if they put their grade in the chat, then guess what? You don't have to, okay? I think it's also important for you to be realistic about the time that you are using, okay? So let's think about this for a second. If you know that you've got homework to get done or you've got an assignment to get done, and let's say that this is asynchronous time and your teacher is giving you that asynchronous ability to get your assignments done, really collect that data for that first time and see how much time are you wasting because you felt like, oh, well, you know what, that assignment is only going to take me to like 15 minutes. I'll work on it later. Did you just waste a whole asynchronous time because you felt like you wanted, to do something that you enjoy more? Or did you use that time to fill it up with the stuff that you needed to get done and then using your other time for your personal time? Again, this whole presentation is about the balance piece, right? But a lot of times what we're hearing is the students are missing out on the schoolwork piece. And then also, this is just my favorite one I'm going to end with is, of course, it's old school. It may be elementary, but I still do it to this day. Take some time to find some time for work and then find some time for break. I like to call it the 50-10 rule or the 37 rule. Now, not 37, but the 30 and then the 7 rule. So basically what I like to do is, and I tell you to this day, I still use this rule. I will allow myself 50 minutes to work, almost kind of like a class period or a half of a class period to work. And then I will do 10 minutes of just entertainment or taking some type of break, right? So if I wanted to get on social media, if I wanted to look something up online, or if I wanted to spend some time with my daughter during that time, then I set myself a timer. And when I'm done with my work time, I take my 10-minute break time. And in that 10-minute breaks or in that 7-minute breaks, I'm doing whatever it is that I enjoy. But it's also important for me to go back to my work time if I need to go back to there. So I really hope that these are some good tools that you can take away and able to use. And at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Lewis, and she's going to continue speaking on another topic part of it.
Yes, thank you, Mary. And I really enjoyed that you mentioned that timer piece, because I actually wrote down rewarding self as you were talking, because I do that as well. I give myself a little reward for finishing a task. And I think that's really important. And it's a fun way. It gives you something to, gives yourself time to set a goal, a manageable goal that you can reach. And then you get a reward instantly. So I absolutely love that idea of using your timer to, whether it's 50 minutes or whether it's 30 minutes, chunking the amount of the work that you're doing and then rewarding yourself for a very brief amount of time to kind of just get yourself away from the stress of whatever the work is that you're doing. And then again, it gives you something to look forward to. I've used that all throughout schooling and my adult life. I used it today, even at work. I was looking forward to taking a walk around the block, but I knew I had to get something done. So I think that is a great skill, a great tool to have in your tool bag as you're working through school, but also just in life in general. So Mary talked a lot about what you can do around your schoolwork on balancing your time to get your schoolwork done and complete. But again, I think it's also really important that you have that time to yourself. So Joe is going to talk to us a little about making sure that you are putting yourself first in all that you do. As school counselors, we know that academics is important, but we also know that unless we are mentally well, that we're not going to be able to approach the academics in the way that we want to do that. So it's always important that you are putting your mental health at that same level that you're putting your physical health. We tend to, as a society, not think about the importance of our mental well-being. And we, as counselors, always say, you know, if you're sick or if you're not feeling good, then you're going to go to the doctor and take care of that, or you're going to allow yourself some time to rest. And your mental health is really just as important, if not more important. So if you're feeling stressed or you're feeling anxious, you need to remember that it's important that you're putting yourself first so that you can accomplish all those other things that you want to do. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Valenzuela, and he's going to talk to us about putting yourself first.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis, and thank you, Ms. Hobbs. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to our parents and students out there this evening. As Dr. Lewis alluded to, we want to talk about putting yourself first. As she mentioned, and I'll reiterate, you got to take care of yourself first. If you take care of yourself first, you can't take care of other people. And we like to say that among ourselves or adults, sort of an idea and a strategy that we like to talk to, and during this period of time among ourselves as educators, especially as school counselors, is self-care. It's important you take care of yourself first in order for you to be able to take care of whatever your priorities are. We talked a little bit about mental health and stress, and when you're under stress, what does that look like? You have to be able to, one, is to recognize it. And stress can impact you in different ways. It can impact you physically, socially, emotionally. Stress is everywhere. Sometimes it can be avoided, but we need to be able to have some self-awareness and understand when we're under stress, and then be able to have a strategy and how to overcome that. Stress is everywhere. The symptoms of stress, parents, they look the same for yourselves as they look for kids. They'll look the same. Physical, if you notice yourself or your kids out there, you have a nervous stomach or a poor appetite, not eating as much as you should at dinner or on weekends or so forth, that might be an issue. Having just sort of these strange headaches that come up repetitively throughout the days or throughout the weeks, and there's no certain particular cause. Some people, adults, kids, internalize their thoughts and they're worried and they're stressed about something, and then would turn into a headache. Emotions. For the parents, if you see your kids are getting agitated and frustrated a little bit more at their siblings, there may be something that is going on with their emotions. They're getting frustrated. They get frustrated at school or at home or with you, hopefully not, then, that could be a key that they're under some type of stress, and you got to drill down to see what is really going on. Socially, if you see that your child, your kids are distancing themselves from their friends, not taking calls, not participating on social media like maybe they regularly have, or having fun in their personal time, not doing the things that they enjoy, whether reading a book, playing the video games, whatever that may be, or going outside, then you may notice socially they're distancing themselves. If you notice that maybe that they're starting to make comments that are self-defeating, sort of victimizing, and just feeling bad about themselves, and that's unusual. That could be a sign of stress, and there's something on their mind or something that's occurring with their schoolwork or other things that's just overwhelming. As Mary mentioned quite well in her strategies, prioritize, plan your day, plan your week. Now, you have a plan and you can conquer it, whether it's that to-do list and checking it off, you'll feel much better and you'll feel accomplished. She gave some great strategies for that. One step at a time, one thing at a time. If you stop and think, what is the most important thing you need to do, whether it's that schoolwork or that self-care, self-time, focus on that one thing. Whatever is that one thing is important, and have a strategy to accomplish that. I believe multitasking or trying to do everything all at once is overrated and unhealthy, and it can be overwhelming. Remind kids to find their priority for school and personal time. Find one for each and have a plan for both, and you'll be successful at both. Next slide. I like to say you're in charge of your own story. I tell kids every day, making choices and choosing their attitude. Kids write their own story. They write their own script. You're in charge of yourself. You have self-determination, and your attitude belongs to you and no one else. Sometimes when we're under stress, that may show in the choices we make and the attitudes that we have, a good attitude or bad attitude to other people around us. Adolescence, parents, for the kids, is a time of exploration. I think Mary mentioned this quite well. They're exploring their academic self, they're exploring their social self, and forming more social awareness. And there's a roller coaster of emotions. If you have a middle school child, and if I'm talking to a high school or middle schooler, and you know how it was in middle school, a series of emotions regarding throughout the day, whether it's friends, schoolwork, personal, or things going on in your social life. It's important that you become aware of those emotions and when they occur and why they're occurring. Kids need to have a say in their activities. And parents, I'm talking to yourself, you have kids that are very involved outside of school with various clubs and organizations, and this is great for them. This is very healthy. But have the kids have some say in those activities. Let's not overwhelm them with too many after-school practices and clubs and organizations. We talked about managing their time and balancing that schoolwork and that personal time. Let kids have some autonomy and have some say in the activities they're participating in and activities that have choice. They want to continue to be able to have fun in those activities. Have kids, I'm talking to you as well, take responsibility for your actions. I talk about choices all the time with kids. Take responsibility, be accountable for your actions, be accountable for the actions you do not take if it means there's going to be some consequences. But don't be too hard on yourself. Don't overdo both. Don't overdo schoolwork, and don't overdo one at the expense of the other. I think Mary gave some great strategies on the 37 rule, 50-50. I like the analogy I like to give is just like banking. When you go to the bank, you make a lot of deposits and you put it in, you're banking some money. But if you make too many withdrawals, there's going to be consequences. The same with the emotions, physical, you're balancing your priorities. You start making more withdrawals than what you have in deposits, then you're going to start feeling some stress and some anxiety over it. Give yourself grace. If you miss one thing, it's okay. Whether it's that one assignment, that one activity at school or grade, talk to your teacher. Give yourself grace, give yourself flexibility, explain to the teacher, address it. If you missed that one chore at home, talk to your parents. You know, you had schoolwork, you had this going on. Give yourself grace. It's okay to make a mistake or miss something, but don't be too hard on yourself. I think even as adults or kids that I encountered, that there are more hard on themselves than other people are. Give yourself some grace. Move on, fix it, ask for help from a trusted adult, a counselor, teacher, or even a parent. Help them relax, forgive themselves, and move on to the next task or priority. You know, finding the balance in schoolwork and personal can be overwhelming. But what we want to do is avoid the stressful things that can lead to some unhealthy habits. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for that. That really kind of honed in some of the stuff that I was even thinking about. You mentioned about recognizing in your own body when you start to become stressed or anxious. I do that myself. I carry all my stress in my shoulders. And so I have gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, my shoulders are up high. Let me physically relax them. And that actually helps my entire body to relax. I was sitting here doing that just now. Finding something that you can do that doesn't require you to go out and do something. So when you start to recognize how your body starts to feel when you're stressed or anxious, then you can start to put some techniques in place to help calm yourself down. So like I said, I carry my stress in my shoulders. So when I start to feel them getting a little bit higher or a little tighter than they probably should be, I just physically drop my shoulders. You can also do breathing, deep breaths in and out for the count of 5 or 10. That can help you to physically release some of that stress that's in your body. And I think also, Joe pointed out something really crucial for us as parents is to really notice what are some of those physiological signs that are dictating to you that your child is stressed or anxious. I have a 6th grader, and from a very young age, we recognize that anytime, 9 times out of 10, if she said her stomach hurt, then it was that she was stressed about something. Not that her stomach actually did hurt for her, but it wasn't because she was hungry or sick or anything like that. It was because she was stressed about something that was going on in her life. And so helping her to recognize that was really important, but also as parents, recognizing that was really key for us as well. Because we could have taken, oh, she has a stomach ache, well, drink some water, go lay down, it'll feel better, because we're thinking she's sick. But in reality, there is a stressor going on for her, and helping for us to recognize that and for her to recognize that, help her to pinpoint the stress and alleviate that feeling that she was having. So talking about stress, we know that there are good stressors and there are bad stressors. Our bodies react to stress partly to protect us. So I like to give the analogy of, if you're walking down a pathway and you see a lion on one path and a bunny on another path, you're probably going to be stressed out when you see that lion, and you're not going to go that direction. But you see the bunny, unless you're terrified of bunnies, you're going to go down the path with bunnies, right? So there are some stresses that are vital for our survival, but it's also important that you recognize when those stressors are bad and they're starting to become detrimental to your overall well-being. So this is going to be different for every person. The level of stress that you can take is going to be different. Talking to our students, you may have an older sibling that can, do this much stress related to maybe academics, whereas you can only do this amount of stress before it starts to become overwhelming for you. And so, like both Mary and Joe said, don't compare yourself to others. Make sure that you are recognizing in yourself what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and then finding a strategy to help you deal with what's going on. And Joe said this earlier, give yourself grace. We know we have, as parents, we have these expectations for our kids. Kids, you have expectations for yourself, but I am a strong believer in that we learn our most valuable lessons when we fail sometimes. And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow, but it is through our failures that we become a lot better. And so if you set a goal for yourself and you don't quite make it, then you have that ability to say, well, okay, I didn't meet this goal, or maybe I even failed at achieving this goal, but what did I learn in this process? So giving yourself some grace is going to help you to alleviate some of that stress and find that balance that's necessary for you to keep moving forward. And then I'm going to really end with fun is important. You know, I remember very vividly being a college student and thinking, oh, I can't wait to get that first real bill and be a real adult. And now I'm like, man, if I could just go back to college, you know? So don't try to grow up too fast, but then also make sure that you are taking time to have fun. And this is for parents too. Go outside and run around and just scream. Play kickball with your kids. Get your hands dirty and play in the sand or play Play-Doh. And for kids as well. I guess it was about a year ago, so pre-COVID, at our one of our events we were holding at Round Rock High School. As counseling service department, we were charged with bringing some type of activity that will help people de-stress. And so we brought in, I don't know if, I don't have them close by, but if you have ever seen Orbeez, there are these water balls. They come in this really hard plastic, but you drop them in some water and they blow up to these like really soft, like marble sized balls. And so we took a bunch of them and put them inside of balloons and made like stress balls. And they felt really good. And our biggest consumers of those stress balls were our high school students. They would come over and make their little stress balls. They would put their hands in the Orbeez and they're like, this feels so good. I wish our teachers had these in their classrooms. Like, don't negate the need to have fun, because having fun inadvertently just helps you to relieve some stress and let you forget all about those worries that you have going on. So like Mary said, give yourself time to get your work done, but then at the same time, reward yourself for doing that work as well. So I really hope that this information that we have shared with you today is valuable and that you can take it back and use it for yourself, but also share this information with your family and friends. I have here a link to what we call our calming room. This is on our counseling services website, and this will give you different techniques on how to just release some of the stress that you may have going on in your life. There's a couple of these are activities like breathing or meditation that are only a couple minutes long. So maybe after a long, stressful day of schoolwork or even work for parents, you could take a couple of minutes to go in and do some breathing exercises or listen to some very calming music. After a stressful test, take a few minutes to really decompress and kind of get yourself back to a place where you are feeling well. So again, I thank you all. We do have some time to answer questions, and I do have a few questions out there, but if you would like, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so that you can see all of our faces a little bit better. But like I said, I do have some questions. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat. You will find the chat down near the bottom of your Zoom screen. You'll click on that, it will bring up another window, and then you can type your chat in there. But I do have a few questions. And one of them, Mary, maybe you can take this one. Is it normal for my child to worry?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, just like Dr. Lewis had mentioned earlier, you know, when you think about stressors, there are, there's good stressors and then there's bad stressors. And so what you really want to look for is, first of all, make sure that you sit down and you talk with your child, right? So that way you can get a full picture about what is it that they're worrying about. And I think what's also really important on that piece is, you know your child more than anyone else knows your child. Look for those signs that Joe had talked about, right? So what's the body language that they're doing? What are some symptoms that they are sharing? You know, so what are some ways, you know, of how they are approaching their peers now? Does it look different? Is there, you know, any time where the student feels like, where you have seen a decline in them that's new, right? That you haven't seen before. But just worrying in general is normal. Okay. But I think what's important is that you talk through that with your child, and don't ignore it, right? So, a lot of times as parents, when we are kind of wrapped up in our own thing, we just kind of give them it will be okay, all of this will go away. They really want to hear from you. So if they're telling you that they're worried, or if you're noticing it, take some time to sit down and really hear and listen to them.
And I think it's also very valuable for kids to know that you worry as adults too, that you get stressed out. I think that sometimes as parents, we want to paint this perfect picture that we have it all under control. And sometimes we don't. And I think it's okay for kids to see that or know that we don't always have it under control, and we have to take a step back and figure out what we need to do as well. That old saying, do as I say, not as I do. Well, the reality is kids are watching us. And if they see only the good things that are going on and they don't see how we overcome barriers and obstacles, then they're going to think they're not going to know how to handle those on their own as well. So like Mary said, if your kids are worried and they're coming to you with that, then hear them out. But then also let them know that, there's times that I worry too. And maybe these are some things that I do as well, because we don't want them to feel like they're the only ones going through something, or they're the only ones that are having a struggle. Now, it may not necessarily be appropriate for you to tell them exactly what you're worried about or what you're stressed about, but to let them know that you have those same feelings as well. Joe, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to validate both of you. And I had that same thought. I don't have kids anymore, but I do have grandkids. And I have grandkids, and of course I'm in middle school. But our kids are more informed and more knowledgeable than they ever have. And as parents, sometimes, as we said, listen to your kids, validate them. They get a lot of information as well. They seek information out. They hear it at school or the social media or the news. And obviously the pandemic has been news and information, and you want to validate any concerns and educate them on what you think is best as a family. At the same time, recently, of course, you hear lots of information about politics, and you think our kids are worried about the strangest things, but that's important to them, that it's messages they hear, and you want to be able to listen to them and validate them and see what is it that they're worried about in regards to any of that information that they hear or see.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
And Dr. Lewis, just really quick, you did bring up a really good point too that I want to just kind of hone in one more time. They're watching us. They're seeing how we are reacting to, what our worries and what our stressors are, so we are their role models, So, you brought up a really good point in just saying, to letting your children know that we worry as well. Okay. And how we respond to it, they're really watching that. And I think that that's important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what about, what if I need to get professional help for my child? When will I know that I need to do that? And how do I make that happen? Joe, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, if you notice some things and highly unusual, and you've addressed it or you've talked to them, and you seem like it doesn't seem like it's helping or going forth. If their school's in your child's in school, in the building, and they may be at home, you can always have the school counselor, meet with them, or maybe some things parents have reached out to me, and I've Google Meet with the kids. If they want that third party or that adult to talk to, they can do that as well. And if you feel, or the counselor feels that maybe it's something beyond just normal stress and anxiety in a school setting, then you can always ask the school counselor or the Round Rock ISD website, our Counseling Corner, the Counseling Corner website. We have a whole list of community resources that we can inform you, and you can choose where to go to and so forth. But there are lots of agencies and so forth and that are helpful, and either family settings or individual adolescents that can be quite helpful if you don't think just a talk or seeing what's going on helpful.
And we are fortunate enough here in Round Rock ISD to partner with Bluebonnet Trails Community Services. So we can, if you have a student that you feel really needs to see a therapist, getting in touch with your school counselor. And one of the benefits of Bluebonnet Trails is our school counselors can make a referral to Bluebonnet Trails. We have a partnership with them where they will work with our students during the school day if they're part of our mental health centers. And so in pre-COVID times or non-COVID times, they would physically come to the campus and work with the students and do a session with the students on campus. Right now, they're doing those sessions virtually. And the benefit of that is, I know a lot of times parents, if they have a child that's in therapy, the parent having to take off work and probably driving clear across town to pick the child up, take them to their therapy session, and driving back to work, that takes up a big chunk of your work time, but it also takes a big chunk of time for the kid missing schoolwork, which if they're already stressed and school is one of those stressors, getting behind in school is not going to be beneficial to them. So we felt that this was a way to save parents time and students time by having those services on our campus. So again, our school counselors can make a referral to our Bluebonnet Trails community partner relationship that we have. And so if that therapist is part of our mental health centers, then they can see our students during the school day. But I would also say that it's important to recognize what your personal strengths and weaknesses are as a parent. And if your child comes to you with a topic or something that you just cannot handle, don't feel bad. There's a ton of resources out there for you to support your child, but also to support you as a parent. And your school counselors can definitely be that first point of contact to help you kind of navigate some of those resources that are available. So don't feel bad if you don't know. And I would even say, be honest with your child. If you don't know, what to say or what to do, say, you know what, we're going to figure this out. We're going to reach out to somebody that can help you and help me help you. Then I think that's being open and honest with your child, but also at the same time, creating a pathway to a clear communication between you and your child as well.
Yeah. I actually would just like to quickly add some other resources too that you can look out to. I think it's important to parents for you to check with your insurance. They can also provide you a list of therapists or agencies and organizations that can help you. And also check with your child's pediatrician too. They can send over some referrals as well.
Absolutely, good points. Good points. Yes. Well, how do I talk to my child if I think they need a therapist? Mary?
Sure. So, one of the things that you really want to look into is start by asking just some open-ended questions. And basically that's where the students or your child's going to give you an answer of more than yes, no, I don't know, or just one answer. And really just hear out from them. And, as you're listening to them talk, really reflect on just some of their feelings that they have going on. Like, what I'm hearing you say is that really stressed you out. So that, that brought some anxiety to you, or, that brought some worry to you, and then just get personal with them, let them know that you're there to support them. Let them know that you do care for them. And I think what's also important too, because a lot of times when people have, just certain situations going on, they are kind of embarrassed or ashamed and don't know really what to say and how to say it. I think it's also important to let them know that mental health it's normal, and it's not the first time, and it won't be the last time that students or anybody will go through some of the things that they may be experiencing. I would also suggest that you really thank them for, sharing and coming to you, just the information that they're providing with you at that time. I think that that's going to open up, future conversations that they may feel comfortable having with you in the future.
Let's see, what other question? How can I help my child with stress and anxiety? Joe, can you help us with that one?
Well, I think we need to recognize the type of stress that's going on, first of all, and then find some strategies or tips. And we often talk to kids. There's different stressors: the school, personal, social. Sometimes what I like to tell kids is journaling. Journaling is a method, a strategy to express their feelings when they're not quite so verbal. Journaling each and every day, just random thoughts or what is it they're stressed about, something they can keep confidential. It's a good way to release stress. Anxiety is when they're worried about things that sometimes may be unrealistic or as we like to think, maybe doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to them. So trying to reduce their anxiety by talking about what is it that they're concerned or worried about. And as Mary mentioned, trying to talk about some goals and expectations for whatever is it that may be bothering them that is creating this anxiety. When you see the physical symptoms and they're just anxious, stressed out, stop and taking a breath, close your eyes, some deep breathing, finding something at home, if you're with them at home, that they can squeeze, maybe a tennis ball you may have at home. Sometimes doing some things with their hands, or writing, or a board game and talking will help alleviate some of that stress and anxiety, and then get them to open up and talk about it. LaShonda quite mentioned about going outside and just having fun and relaxing and taking in the outdoors, a walk with no purpose, just around the block or somewhere in the neighborhood. It helps bring some endorphins and kind of some oxygen, and helps the body to reduce stress. And in a time, come back and then have that talk, like Mary mentioned, communicating with your child as to what the stressor or what is it that's on their mind that creates that anxiety. We want to validate that whatever they're anxious about is important to them, and you want to try to problem solve and not solve it for them, but give them the opportunity and the autonomy with different strategies that they think they can solve it, or whatever it is that they're worried about that's creating their anxiety.
Those are great points. I did put in the chat a link to our counseling services website. And on that website, I mentioned earlier that we do have our calming room, but we also just have other information for parents and for students to utilize around various different topics. So we do have information on just not only our mental health centers, but also agencies in the area. If you are looking for a therapist, we also have information on how to talk with your child for various different points of information. One thing I also want to mention is, since we are talking about balancing that schoolwork and personal time, I know that a lot of our students across the district are still working virtually. So they're at home most of the day doing their schoolwork. I think it's really important that even though traditionally in school, our kids are there from the time they're dropped off in the morning to the time they're picked up, like Mary mentioned, there is that asynchronous time that is built in there. And for some students, depending on what grade level they're in, it can be quite a big chunk of time. And so maybe taking a part of that time to really get your schoolwork done, but then bringing back in that reward piece of, I do have the ability to go outside. So leaving your cell phone, leaving your gaming system, leaving that laptop and going outside and running around, jumping on a trampoline, riding your bike around the block, just walking around the yard. Sometimes it's just nice to just get that sun on your body. So taking some time away from the schoolwork is really important, but doing so in a way that is intentional so that you don't end up spending, you know, an hour or two outside and you missed your next class, or didn't get your work done. But making sure that it's somewhat planned out so that you are giving yourself some time to really decompress. I think that's extremely important. So we only have a couple of minutes left before we wrap up today. I do want to remind you that this session is being recorded. We will try to get this onto our counseling services website before the end of the day tomorrow. If you are to go visit that website now, you will see our counseling conversation talk from a couple of weeks ago, and that was transitioning from middle school to high school. So if we have any of those individuals out there, so our middle school students are out there listening tonight, you can go and view that recording as well. And then we will have additional recordings coming up for the spring semester, but more here in the next couple of weeks, we will have FAFSA related information. So that is for any of our students who are seniors and are looking to go off to college. A great way to pay for college. FAFSA provides funding in multiple different ways. Most people equate FAFSA with student loans, but there are also scholarships and grants and work study programs, all which don't have to be paid back. So completing your FAFSA is extremely important. So December 1st, we will have a panel where we have a guest speaker that will be speaking on how to fill out the FAFSA and what that really means. So join us for that. But before we close tonight, I do want to give Joe and Mary just a couple more minutes just to kind of wrap up and give some parting thoughts. Joe, I'd like to start with you.
Take it easy. Give yourself credit. Praise yourself. Give yourself time. Give yourself grace. You're going to make mistakes. It's not going to always work out every single time, whether it's that schoolwork, that assignment, or whatever it is that the expectations you have at home. Mary mentioned it. There's nobody that's perfect, and give yourself an opportunity to if you make a mistake or you get stressed or anxious, it can be fixed. It can be overcome. Find the right strategy, find the right coping skill, and move on, move forward.
Mary?
Yeah, thank you. And also just know that it's okay to fail forward, right? You are going to make mistakes. You are going to learn, though, from those mistakes. I think what's also important, especially starting in secondary from 6th grade on up, is that we start showing just some independency for what you can do, okay? Surprise yourself of what you are capable and have the ability to do, but you just need those tools to help you navigate along the way. And so we have shared everything that, you know, that we have felt and found to be successful with not only personally ourselves, but also in other students. And you can always go back and refer to this to get those tools that you need to help you. But just know too that your teachers, the staff members, your counselors on campus are your resource, okay? So use them, talk to them, send them emails, you know, figure out a way that you can help them work along with you, okay? Nobody is here to work against you. No one is, you know, wanting to see you not be successful. You know, I think a lot of times what I see is just the stressor, because, you know, from adults, because we feel like we know the capability that you have to do. So go out there, just know that if you do, you know, you're not successful the first time, that's okay. Continue to do better and try to work on achieving a better goal than what you did on the previous times.
I like that, Mary. As you were saying that, a quote came to mind, and so it's going to date me a little bit, but it's from Michael Jordan. I hope most of our kids out there know who Michael Jordan is, but again, kind of old. So he has a quote, and it goes, "I have failed many times, and that's why I succeed." Michael Jordan didn't make his junior high basketball team. I think he was picked last for his high school team. But what we know Michael Jordan for is being one of the greatest basketball players ever. And so what I say to you is know that, like they said, you're going to fail. But the more times you pick yourself up and try again, the the more you give yourself the opportunity for success. So I don't think you can ask a single adult if they've ever failed, and they'll say, no, I've never failed. And if they're honest, they're not going to say that, because we've all failed multiple times at multiple different things. But you have to pick yourself up, learn from what that failure was, and keep yourself moving forward. And ultimately, give yourself grace. It's not easy. And I think sometimes as adults, we want kids to think, oh, it's easy. You just need to try a little bit harder. None of it is easy. Figure out what works best for you, and what works for you may not work for your best friend. It may not work for mom and dad. It may not work for brother or sister. Figure out what works best for you. Sometimes that's going to mean that you need to adjust it as you get older, as things in your life changes, but finding what works best for you is key. I think Joe mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we all start off with a blank slate. I used to tell my students, you're handed a book in life. We don't necessarily get to write every single page in that book, but the majority of the pages in that book are empty and blank, and it is up to you as the individual to write your own story. So take that and run with it. Give yourself grace, know that you're amazing, and that you're going to do all that you are made to be capable of doing. So thank you all for joining us today. Like I said, we will have this posted on our district site here within the next 24 hours. Thank you all.
Bye.